Welcome to the Nitwits, a weekly roundtable discussion on the Penn State Nittany Lions. Our panel features a longtime Penn State media and Nitwits tag team, Neil Rudell of the Altoona Mirror and Mark Brennan of Lions 247 with Fight on State. The Nitwits are hosted by WTAJ Sports Director Peter Terpstra, and each week we welcome a former Nittany Lion as our special guest analyst. The Nitwits are brought to you by Irwin Financial, Raymond James, an independent firm and a firm foundation for your financial future. By Coldwell Banker, no one will work harder to sell your home. By Courtesy Motor Sales of Altoona, where courtesy means a great deal. By The Allegro, where fine cuisine is a way of life. By Health South, your rehab choice. Health South Altoona, ask for us by name. By Monarch Cleaners, for all your dry cleaning, uniform, and mat rentals. By Reed and Salaney Orthodontics. Doctors Reed and Salaney provide orthodontics for children and adults. By W.S. Lee & Sons, your local food distributor. Go Penn State. By Allegheny Street Cigar. Allegheny Street Cigar, Blair County's only cigar lounge. By McAleer's Plumbing, specializing in plumbing, heating, and air conditioning, serving our community since 1886. By Shields Awards and the Sports Shop. We have a fantastic selection of awards, apparel, and memorabilia at great prices. By Freedom RV. Get ready to tailgate this Penn State football season with Freedom RV Rentals. By Jethro's, serving ribs, steaks, Italian specialties, and the famous Prospector Salad since 1983. Takeouts, delivery, and catering. By Lucky's Beer Distributor. Let Lucky's Beer get you ready for PSU game day. By Remax Results Realty Group, committed to a culture of professionalism, productivity, and exceptional service. By EasyToUse.com, your Yellow Pages connection in print and online. By Lions 247 with Fight on State, your online home for Penn State football and recruiting coverage. And by the Altoona Mirror, featuring Penn State Game Day every Friday and Penn State Extra every Sunday.
Welcome to Nittany Nation Overtime.
Hey, hi, hello. Welcome to Nittany Nation Overtime. I'm Peter Terpstra, joined by the Nitwits. We got Neil Rudell, Mark Brennan, and our special guest, Massimo Manca, former place kicker for the Nittany Lions. All right, Penn State survived week one, 45-38 in overtime to Appalachian State. What do you take from this win right off the top, Neil?
Well, I mean, I give App State, and I thought James Franklin was classy about it, a lot of credit. And I think I can't remember a 4-touchdown underdog coming in here and playing with more heart while down by 2 scores in the fourth quarter. I mean, I was really impressed with them, but I wasn't impressed with Penn State's defense. I think that was a total collapse and really needs to be evaluated this week.
You had that time in the second half where they came out swinging, Penn State did, and they took that lead. And as a fan, you might have had this kind of sense of, all right, cool, this is where you put your foot on the gas and you can kind of run away with this thing. Didn't happen.
Yeah, well, listen, if you're looking for a silver lining, Penn State should have won that game by 2 or 3 touchdowns. The fact that it didn't, a lot of things with this defense were exposed. I think if they win that game by a significant amount of points, everybody may be thinking, hey, this is all great. But you know what? I'm sure that they went into their meetings on Sunday, and they do that now. They go in on Sunday, and that's where they break down all of the tape and go through all of the mistakes. And boy, are they going to find a lot of them out of this game. A learning experience. We knew this was a young team. I thought the athletic ability was going to carry it much greater than it did in the size, but it clearly didn't. But I'll go back to an old Joe Paterno saying, Massimo, wasn't it? You're never as bad as you look when you win. I'm joking. I'm turning it around a little bit. But I don't think they were as bad as they looked. I think we're going to see a better team against Pitt, but a lot of areas that this team has to tighten up. And this was the first time, I'll also throw this out there, first time in the last couple of years that I thought the opposing coaching staff did a much better job than the Penn State coaching staff.
Yeah, and no question about it. I mean, first game of the season, we all expect a blowout, right?
Yeah.
We thought it was going to be a 45-10 game. So we were all very surprised, yet we know darn well that these are the types of games that really build character. Seriously, I mean, when we were in 85 and 86, I know you remember well, we had a lot of close games in those 2 undefeated seasons. Cincinnati, Maryland, Rutgers, Temple, teams that we should have blown out, you know, and this was a big test, you know, just the fact that we were able to come through at the end and win this game. We're 1-0. You know, we're going to remember this game as we go on during the season, and that's the bottom line. We're 1-0. Let's just take it from there and improve. Got a lot of work to do. We realize that, but we'll get better.
Well, another Joeism is you make your most improvement from the first to the second game, so they got plenty of opportunities. But to me, I think offensively they're going to be okay.
Yeah.
I mean, with McSorley, and you saw what he did, and we'll get to some of that later. But defensively, it looks to me like, well, they still aren't real sure who they want to play.
They played a lot of guys.
Key positions, particularly linebacker. And I think that has to be something that is resolved fairly quickly. You saw Parsons in the first half, and then almost not at all later in the game.
Well, to give credit where credit's due, that Zach Thomas was way better than I expected for a kid making his first start at quarterback in Beaver Stadium. So you have to give him all the credit in the world. I mean, that pass he made over Castro Fields was absolutely insane. But having said all of that, you know, James Franklin made a good point after the game, that it wasn't so much the passing game, it was that App State was able to stay on schedule and had second and medium and had third and short, and that allowed them to do stuff quickly with the passing game. So that's where they have to get better. They have to get better on first and second down, and I think that'll be one of the keys to the defense in general improving. Those
young guys kind of had their first taste of it. When we go back to Saints, never as good, never as bad, we'll see. You know, we're going to see how this one kind of looks later in the year, and we'll get into that too.
A trend developing, though, that I think is troubling when you roll back to, as Mike would say, when you roll back to last year, you know, Ohio State obviously came back and put 3 touchdowns on them in the fourth quarter. Yeah. Nebraska put 3 touchdowns on them in the fourth quarter. So you're seeing something that, whether it's they're getting tired and, hey, you know, you didn't have Givens, you didn't have Shane Simmons, and you've had a bunch of defensive issues piling up here.
I don't think they were tired. Because I don't think they were tired against Ohio State last year. I just think they're somehow getting out of whack, to use another. We're using all these Joeisms, but it's just because the defense had played so well, I thought, for the first half.
Right.
And things just, they weren't clicking, and that must be part of the growing process, because I think we saw Penn State learn from that last year after the Ohio State game. These young guys who are out there playing, they're going to have to learn from it. And again, that's one thing that I would say is a silver lining. You come out of this game having survived, knowing that you could perform in the clutch when you had to, and with a lot of things that they're going to be able to they were able to go over on Sunday to say, hey, listen, this is what you need to do better on tape.
Speaking of silver linings, we're going to get into that coming up next. They did get the win. That's what's most important, and we tell you what impressed us the most coming up next.
The Nitwits are brought to you by Irwin Financial, Raymond James, an independent firm and a firm foundation for your financial future. By Coldwell Banker, no one will work harder to sell your home. By Courtesy Motor Sales of Altoona, where courtesy means a great deal. By The Allegro, where fine cuisine is a way of life. By Health South, your rehab choice. Health South Altoona, ask for us by name. By Monarch Cleaners, for all your dry cleaning, uniform, and mat rentals.
You're watching Nittany Nation Overtime.
And welcome back to Nittany Nation Overtime, still here with the Nitwits. Before we get into some of the things that we liked, special teams had a huge role in this game. Both teams really all over the place. Massimo, what did you take away from maybe their miscues, but also some of their bright spots too?
I've watched the kickers all the time.
Yeah.
It's nice to see 2 new kids come in as freshmen. The Cheka, he kicked off really well, I thought. The one that was returned, that was a nice, deep kick to the corner. I mean, there's not much you can do there. It's obviously the coverage. It's not like it was a line drive, right?
Yeah.
And Jake Pinniger, I was very impressed with his poise.
He did everything.
He did, and you know, I was more nervous than he was. That last extra point to tie it, to take it to overtime, that's tough, man. You come in, and he's from Iowa. I don't know how many people he played in front of in Iowa, but
Massimo, you were in that position. You were a true freshman kicking.
I was.
Tell us what it was like.
It was nerve-wracking, to say the least. And then, you know, you get confident after a couple of kicks, and you feel like you can make every one of them, and then the Nebraska game comes along, and I missed 3 in the first half. So it's tough coming in as a freshman.
You're still a legend.
Yeah, exaggerate. But it's no, it's really both kickers, I think we're set for the next 4 years.
Yeah, and they're in good shape with the with Gillikin, and I was impressed because you're right. All of a sudden, you know, the sky is falling up there, and not just Pinniger, but the snapper, the holder, everything was perfect for them to make that extra point, or they get beat.
Well, I mean, the other thing, I don't know if you saw it, and I think we had it on the tape there, but Gillikin had a great hold on the very last touchdown. Now, it didn't matter because App State didn't score.
Yeah.
But and the other thing, Gillikin, having a punter like that you could depend on to punt from your own end zone late in the game, even though they eventually brought that back, it's like he's just out there, boom, there it goes, and he is so smooth. And then, you know, we'd be remiss. Listen, you have to be critical of them for the allowing the kickoff return, but there were a lot of young players out on the field. I thought the onside kick that they allowed, it looked like they were unprepared, but I'm going to end it with KJ Hamler. Wow. You know, should I go, should I not go? But we're seeing why everybody's been raving about this kid. He put a jolt into that stadium, into that team, and I think really helped them win.
It's so easy to cheer for a guy like KJ Hamler. I'm a little guy. Okay, when I see undersized players on the field, I'm immediately like, I want to see you do. And he's got tons of electricity, and I mean, when he's in the end zone, just hadn't had a chance to take it out, and then he does, and he makes a huge play.
We talked about the things we liked, and he would be near the top of the list. Yeah. I thought it took a little while for them to really start to get him involved. Yeah. Maybe they were keeping some of the offense under wraps in the first half. I don't know, but. You know, they decided to go to him. You know, Tompkins was a good receiver last year. He didn't get targeted at all yesterday.
Well, they moved Tompkins out of the slot. They put this kid in the slot, so Tompkins is playing outside. Let me tell you a quick story about Hamler. He walks around with a Looney Tunes backpack on, and I asked him why. He said, because he loves Bugs Bunny. I said, why do you love Bugs Bunny? He said, because he's fast and he's goofy like me. So that's where you're looking at a guy who's not only a really good player, but has a dynamic personality. People are going to love this kid when they get to know him, not just for what he does on the field, but he's got a great personality.
He looked like the Roadrunner.
Well, Franklin said afterward, the only thing that's faster than his feet is his mouth.
And by the way, he's got pretty good hands, too.
Yeah.
At running back, got to talk about Miles Sanders. Okay, did anyone else notice on his first carry a hurdle attempt? Yep. Like Saquon? Yep. I mean, but he looked solid. He really did.
I thought their backs looked good. You know, they went to a rotation fairly early, which I don't think necessarily helped their momentum in the first half because he came out, he looked good, but all their backs ran hard. Allen, you know, last year Barkley was getting hit behind the line of scrimmage a lot. You really had you had one negative yardage play from your running backs yesterday.
Nice to see Mark Allen getting a shot. He's a guy who committed to Penn State in October of 2012 when this program was against the worst of the worst. And he's not had a lot of playing time. I'd like to see them giving him reps because he's being rewarded. But boy, how good did Ricky Slade look as well? Yeah. I mean, he burst that touchdown. I was really impressed. Massimo, I don't know what you think, but Ricky Slade looks like the real deal.
He does. He does. The way he just cut through the middle there, and nobody was going to stop him from getting to the end zone. No, not at all.
No.
It looked like when they stuck Will Fries in there, who I don't think he started the game, right?
He did.
The line began to perform a little better. They only allowed, I think, 1 sack. And what can you say about McSorley? I mean, have we ever seen a better clutch player than him these last 3 years?
No, I mean, we've said it. He is always going to give you the opportunity to win, and he did it again, and he made the plays in the clutch. I mean, if that 4th down play, and the other thing, when you're down there on the field as we were late, you don't understand how fast everything's moving, and he is just such a cool customer. It's incredible in these intense situations. And one thing he said after the game, hey, listen, I've been through this, but that's another silver lining. It was good for these other players to have to survive that sort of thing, and now they have a taste of it. Now they have a taste of why McSorley's so good. Maybe they could kind of pick up on it to Hamlers and other players.
Got the ball to Polk in a couple key situations, made a big catch on 4th down.
Yeah. When you have a guy like Trace McSorley at the end of the game in a close game, you guys said it, you don't want anybody else in that position. All right, coming up next, we're going to take a look forward. How's this win going to look at the end of the season? Tough and gutty or too close for comfort? We'll take a look at that next.
The Nitwits are brought to you by Reed and Solaney Orthodontics. Doctors Reed and Solaney provide orthodontics for children and adults. By W.S. Lee & Sons, your local food distributor. Go Penn State. By Allegheny Street Cigar. Allegheny Street Cigar, Blair County's only cigar lounge. By McAleer's Plumbing, specializing in plumbing, heating, and air conditioning, serving our community since 1886. By Shields Awards and the Sports Shop. We have a fantastic selection of awards, apparel, and memorabilia at great prices. By Freedom RV. Get ready to tailgate this Penn State football season with Freedom RV Rentals.
You're watching Nittany Nation Overtime.
Welcome back to Nittany Nation Overtime. As we've been talking about, Penn State surviving Appalachian State Week 1 in overtime. Appalachian State, not a big school, not from a big conference, has had success, but what does this do maybe in the future? If you want to make the college football playoff, is this going to look like a close win or too close?
Well, we're in the middle of the game, and several of us picked 10-2, and Neil was off that bandwagon by like halftime. I mean, he was off the 10-2. I think he's got him for like 6 wins now. It's too late. From my perspective, I know this is a cop-out. I think it's too early to see. I don't think if first of all, I don't think they're going to be, even if they go 10-2. I don't think this is the year that they would be a playoff type team. I think next year is the year and the year after is when you're finally getting back to where you need to be, because they lost all of that talent. The kids who had to play as true freshmen in Franklin's first year, and you do have a lot of holes to plug. So I'm not jumping off the 10-2 bandwagon just yet, but at the end of the year, if they are in playoff contention, I don't think anybody's going to look back at App State and say, oh my God, they only won that by a touchdown.
Yeah, but I mean, has anybody broken that news to Herb Street and other people that picked them in the college football playoff? Where are you going to be without McSorley? How many times has he brought you back in so many different games? I think the time is now.
You're down on them for next year already?
They got to get you said that next year is the.
I believe that.
Okay. Well, I think he's going to leave a massive hole at quarterback, and I'm a little concerned at this point about when I see App State do this. To me, other people are going to be, their appetite is they're pretty hungry.
Penn
It's game 1, like I said before.
I'm with you on that.
And it's early, like Mark said, and it's a great win. That's the way we got to look at it. The way they came back at the end, we really thought we were going to be 0-1. When they scored at the end, we had our doubts, no question. But the bottom line is we're 1-0, and it's early enough that I still think we can have a great season this year.
I think we're all in agreement. We're not saying that like Appalachian State is some yes, they had that big win in Michigan. They're not some huge type of program, but they're not pushovers by any means. Right. They're a team that were receiving votes in the coaches' top 25. But to start like that with an exciting win could boost some momentum.
No question.
I think the better barometer is going to be this week coming up against Pitt. Because this could, who knows? As Neil said, and it's common. Teams do usually improve the most between the first and second game. Pitt is a quality program, good athletes, well-coached team, on the road. It's going to be a hostile environment. If they go out there and don't play well, then this argument that we're having now is moot. Sure. If they go out and play well, then maybe we reassess at next week's taping of the show.
Yeah, and coming up next, we are going to really get into the Pitt matchup. You teased to it. We're coming up to the end of our show here, and we're going to see what the future holds with this rivalry next.
The Nitwits are brought to you by Death Rows, serving ribs, steaks, Italian specialties, and the famous Prospector Salad since 1983. Takeouts, delivery, and catering. By Lucky's Beer Distributor. Let Lucky's Beer get you ready for PSU game day. By Remax Results Realty Group. Committed to a culture of professionalism, productivity, and exceptional service. By EasyToUse.com. Your Yellow Pages connection in print and online. By Lions 247 with Fight on State. Your online home for Penn State football and recruiting coverage. And by the Altoona Mirror. Featuring Penn State game day every Friday and Penn State Extra every Sunday.
You're watching Nittany Nation Overtime.
Hey folks, welcome back to Nittany Nation Overtime. We're going to finish this thing up with the Nitwits. Folks, taking on Pitt, okay? I feel like this game has a special place in plenty of hearts around Central PA. But who says it's a rivalry and who says it isn't? I mean,
Well, it's definitely a rivalry.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, yeah.
When it's played, it's a rivalry, and you ask the fans. Last year, they had the biggest crowd in 2 years ago in Pittsburgh in the history of football in Pittsburgh. So, I mean, what more do you need to know? Yeah, now, is a different discussion of should they play every year? They obviously went their separate ways a long time ago. Both schools are probably to blame for that. You know, Pitt doesn't even play West Virginia anymore, but it's a rivalry.
Well, first of all, get a mask off. He's not going to fall. It's definitely a rivalry. I would never say that it's not, but it's one of these things where so many people say you should play every year. I think most of those people live between Altoona and Pittsburgh, because I think outside of that, I would just as soon see them get non-conference opponents like Auburn, like Virginia Tech, like Texas that may be coming on the schedule. I don't think you could limit yourself. Now with the 9-game Big Ten schedule, you have no flexibility, and it would be nice if you could do it, but it's impractical, and they're just never going to be able to do it. So it's sailed. Next year is going to be the last one for the foreseeable future.
Right.
Would love to see it come back in 15, 16 years again. Get a taste of it every decade and a half or so.
How do you feel about you were part of it?
Yeah, I mean, in the 80s, that was the rivalry. You know, we loved looking. It was always the last game of the season, as you know, and a lot of great moments, a lot of great games against Pitt.
But there are kids who, I mean, and you're exactly right. But the kids on today's team were born after that.
Right.
So it matters to fans in this area, I think, but I don't think it matters as much to especially the younger generation.
Yeah, now you're going to add Auburn and Virginia Tech, West Virginia. Some of those are positive. And you're also getting back Wisconsin and Nebraska in a couple of years from the West.
Yeah.
So how much more can you really take? Can you plug a road game in with Pitt? I can see why the ship looks like it's sailed.
Let's get into some predictions. How do you think this one's gonna play out, Massimo?
Well, I got a personal story here.
Okay.
First time I was recruited by Penn State was in November of 1981. I was out on the West Coast, and they said, watch the Penn State Pitt game this Saturday coming up. I turn on the game, we're down 14-0. You remember that game, right?
Right.
And what happened? 48-14. That was one of the reasons that I said, I want to go to Penn State.
Is that your score then?
That's my score.
Yes,
I'm going there because I know a week is a short time to turn things around.
It will definitely do it if it's 48-14.
Listen, I'll go next. First of all, I want to congratulate Neil on being Nit with a week, because if we don't say that, he's going to be upset. I think Penn State's going to play better, but I still think they have some things to tighten up on defense. I'm going to go Penn State 31, Pitt 21.
I don't see a blowout. What did I say? I said last week. I was like, oh yeah, 35-7. Just throw it out there. Things never seem to go the way I think they're going to go. I'm just going to say 28-21, lower scoring game. So obviously something's going to have to go wrong for the Penn State offense. They score so much.
Do you have a winner?
Oh, Penn State. Sorry, didn't say that. But yeah, I'm going to pick Penn State to win. I mean, I find it really hard to bet against Trace.
You're giving Neil too much time to figure out the
numbers.
Okay.
This is a 9.5-point line on the road at night. To me, that's a yellow flag. I'm going to say Penn State 37, Pitt 33. I think Penn State's going to have to outscore people. I'm going to go low, but a close game.
Is anybody picking overtime again?
No, it's an 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
It's an 8 o'clock game.
Yeah.
We do not want overtime.
I'm with you on that. Folks, I appreciate you coming on and talking Penn State football with us. For Massimo, Neil, Mark, I'm Peter Terpstra. This is Nittany Nation Overtime. Folks, we will see you another day.
The Nitwits are brought to you by Irwin Financial, Raymond James, an independent firm and a firm foundation for your financial future. By Coldwell Banker, no one will work harder to sell your home. By Courtesy Motor Sales of Altoona, where courtesy means a great deal. By The Allegro, where fine cuisine is a way of life. By Health South, your rehab choice. Health South Altoona, ask for us by name. By Monarch Cleaners, for all your dry cleaning, uniform, and mat rentals. By Reed and Salaney Orthodontics, Doctors Reed and Solaney provide orthodontics for children and adults. By W.S. Lee & Sons, your local food distributor. Go Penn State. By Allegheny Street Cigar. Allegheny Street Cigar, Blair County's only cigar lounge. By McAleer's Plumbing, specializing in plumbing, heating, and air conditioning, serving our community since 1886. By Shields Awards and the Sports Shop. We have a fantastic selection of awards, apparel, and memorabilia at great prices. By Freedom RV. Get ready to tailgate this Penn State football season with Freedom RV Rentals. By Jethro's, serving ribs, steaks, Italian specialties, and the famous Prospector Salad since 1983. Takeouts, delivery, and catering. By Lucky's Beer Distributor. Let Lucky's Beer get you ready for PSU game day. By Remax Results Realty Group. Committed to a culture of professionalism, productivity, and exceptional service. By EasyToUse.com. Your Yellow Pages connection in print and online. By Lions 247 with Fight on State, your online home for Penn State football and recruiting coverage. And by the Altoona Mirror, featuring Penn State Game Day every Friday and Penn State Extra every Sunday. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.